In the heart of the city's most luxurious restaurant, where chandeliers glow and fine wine flows, a little barefoot girl stands trembling at the gate. Her clothes are torn, her eyes hollow with hunger. For hours, no one notices her, until she gathers the courage to walk inside, past shocked diners and furious waiters. She stops at the table of a man who seems to have everything, but feels nothing. "Can I eat with you?" she whispers. Silence falls. Eyes turn. Judgments form. But what this millionaire does next shocks everyone, and leaves the entire restaurant in tears.
"May I share your meal?" the homeless girl asked the wealthy man. What he did next moved everyone to tears. The gentle clinking of silverware and hushed conversations filled the upscale terrace of El Jaran, the city's most prestigious dining spot. Crystal goblets shimmered in the golden light, and the scent of roasted lamb, mixed with the richness of truffle butter, drifted through the air. In a secluded corner, Thomas Reed sat by himself. Just into his 30s, dressed in a sharp designer suit, he wore the expression of someone tired of indulgence. In front of him were untouched delicacies, perfectly cooked scallops, warm artisan bread, and a glass of Chardonnay glowing in the candlelight. He possessed everything: money, power, connections. Yet tonight, as he flipped through endless work emails on his phone, he felt completely empty. Just outside the ornate gates of El Jaran, a little girl stood trembling. Illa, no older than 7, was a small black child, her ragged, oversized dress clinging to her frail frame. Her feet were bare and caked in dirt. Her stomach churned with hunger, but she didn't complain. For over an hour, she had been watching guests leave, hoping someone might hand her scraps, but no one acknowledged her presence. A waiter carrying leftover dishes stepped outside and dumped them into a nearby bin. Illa slowly approached. "Don't even think about it, kid," the waiter snapped, waving her off like a nuisance. "Street brats like you aren't welcome here." Startled, Illa recoiled and hid behind a stone pillar, her eyes stinging with tears. But hunger overpowered her fear. Through the open terrace doors, she spotted a man in a dark blue suit dining alone. In front of him sat untouched dishes, bread rolls, roasted chicken, even a chocolate tart. Her stomach growled. "Just try, just once," she whispered to herself. With all the courage she could gather, Illa stepped onto the patio, barefoot on the cool tiles. A hush fell over the diners. "Where did that child come from?" murmured a woman dressed in pearls. "Doesn't security check the entrance anymore?" a man whispered. The head waiter stormed forward, his polished shoes clacking on the stone. "You don't belong here, little girl. Leave now." But before he could touch her, Illa stepped in front of Thomas, her wide brown eyes staring directly into his. "Sir," she said, voice quivering. Startled, Thomas looked up. The tiny, fragile girl stood out like a shadow among the luxury of black tablecloths and chandelier light. "Could I eat with you?" The waiter froze in mid-step. Silence spread across the restaurant. Thomas stared, overwhelmed. "Please," Illa said, gripping the hem of her worn dress. "I'm sorry to ask. I haven't eaten in 2 days, sir," the waiter interrupted coldly. "Shall I escort her out?" Thomas didn't respond immediately. His gaze remained fixed on Illa's hollow cheeks and shaking lips. A memory tugged at his heart. He too had once been like her, a hungry, forgotten child, standing outside bakeries, praying for scraps that never came. "Sir, should I call security?" "No," Thomas said suddenly, louder than he meant to. Heads turned. He rose from his chair. "Bring another plate," he ordered. The waiter blinked. "Pardon, you heard me. The best dish in the kitchen, and be quick." Illa's eyes grew wide. "Really?" she whispered. "Of course. What's your name, sweetheart?" "Illa." Thomas crouched to meet her eye to eye. "Come on, Illa. You're sitting with me." Gasps filled the terrace. "Is he serious?" one woman whispered. "A millionaire letting a street child dine with him. Disgraceful," muttered another man. Thomas ignored the whispers. He pulled out the seat beside him and gently motioned to it. "Have a seat, darling. Tonight, you're my guest." As Illa carefully climbed into the chair, Thomas turned to the waiter. "And bring warm bread first. She's freezing." Reluctantly, the waiter nodded and disappeared into the kitchen. Thomas looked around at the disapproving faces of the other guests. "You're all staring," he said loudly. "Maybe ask yourselves why a child had to come in here and beg just to eat." The restaurant went completely silent. When the bread finally arrived, Illa held the warm roll in both hands. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "Thank you." "Thank you, sir. I didn't think anyone even noticed me." Thomas felt a lump form in his throat as he watched the girl nibble her first bite. For the first time in ages, he sensed a warmth stirring inside him, a gentle spark he hadn't felt in years. The outdoor dining area was unusually silent. The sound of clinking utensils had faded. Illa sat stiffly next to Thomas, her small fingers holding a piece of freshly baked bread. She stared at it for a second, as if unsure it was truly hers, before cautiously taking a bite. Tears slipped down her dust-covered cheeks as the soft bread melted in her mouth. "Take your time," Thomas said softly, sliding a glass of water toward her. "There's more than enough. No need to hurry." From across the terrace, hushed voices rose. "Is he really letting her sit with him?" someone whispered. "This is outrageous," a well-dressed woman murmured, though even she sounded unsure. An elderly couple lowered their eyes, clearly ashamed. A waiter returned, this time with a generous plate stacked with roast chicken, vegetables, and creamy mashed potatoes. He placed it before Illa and awkwardly stepped away, avoiding her gaze. "Eat as much as you like," Thomas told her. "Nobody's going to stop you." She looked up hesitantly. "But don't you want some?" Thomas gently shook his head. "I've already had my fill. Tonight is for you." As she ate, Thomas leaned back, lost in thought. He remembered the nights of his youth, sleeping in train stations, digging through bins for food. He'd promised himself he would never revisit those memories. But now, watching this little girl, he realized he hadn't outrun them. He'd only locked them away. Illa wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "My mama used to bake bread like this," she whispered. Before she went to heaven, Thomas's chest tightened. "What about your dad?" Her voice broke. "He left after Mama died. Said I was too much work. Said someone else would take care of me." She stared at her plate, but no one ever did. A sharp ache pierced Thomas's heart. He pushed aside his own plate and gently took her hand. "You are not a burden," he said, steady and clear. "You're a child, Illa. You deserve to be loved and looked after." Around them, a waiter froze mid-step. A couple nearby dabbed their eyes. Even the stern-faced manager who had come to confront Thomas stopped in his tracks. Thomas looked around the restaurant and spoke louder. "She's 7, just 7, and she's been wandering these streets on her own, while we sit here with expensive meals we can't even finish." Silence grew heavier. "Look at her," he said, voice tight with emotion. "Do you know how much bravery it takes for a kid to walk in here and ask for help?" No one replied. A few guests shifted uneasily, guilt shadowing their faces. Turning back to Illa, Thomas lowered his voice just for her. "You won't have to ask for food ever again. I'm going to look after you now." Illa blinked up at him. "You're not going to send me away?" "Never," Thomas said, his voice thick with emotion. "You're coming with me. We'll get you warm clothes, a bed to sleep in, and pancakes for breakfast tomorrow." She let out a tiny sob and wrapped her arms tightly around his waist. "I promise I'll be good," she cried. "You already are, sweetheart," he whispered back. "You don't have to earn love, you just deserve it." A soft sniffle broke the quiet. The woman in pearls dabbed at her eyes. A young waiter backed away, visibly emotional. The room wasn't silenced by money or status that night. It was quiet because of one man's simple, genuine kindness. Thomas rose, gently lifting Illa into his arms. "She needs more than just a meal," he said softly. "She deserves a future." As he carried her out, diners began to stand not in objection, but in silent respect. One man slipped a $100 bill onto Thomas's table, along with a note for her future. That night, in Thomas's sleek black car, Illa curled up in the passenger seat with a soft blanket around her. "Are you rich?" she asked sleepily. Thomas gave her a faint smile. "I thought I was," he replied. "But tonight, I feel like I've finally found something more valuable than all the wealth in the world." She smiled drowsily. "You're the kindest person I've ever met." Tears welled in Thomas's eyes. "And you," he said, voice gentle, "are the bravest little girl I've ever known."